Hello everybody, long time no see. So I've got another Friday the 13th video for you, and this time it's actually 13 books that I think would be great to read for Friday the 13th. So these are all books that I have not read before, but they're all ones that I think would be very fitting and that will more than likely find their way onto my October TBR when I make that. So I'm just going to start right off with one that I think everyone probably expects to have on their October TBR if they didn't read it last year. So this is Hocus Pocus, the all-new sequel, and the all-new sequel. So I believe it's got both books in it. But basically the first story, if it does have two stories in it, I don't know 100%. Yeah, I'm not sure. But if Hocus Pocus is basically the same thing as the movie, I mean, I know that's not something most book nerds would say, but I mean, if you know the plot of the movie, then you understand basically the idea is that there's witches, they cursed a boy and turn him into a cat, and then they are brought back by a virgin years later. Like hundreds of years later. And then the idea is the sequel is going to be the child of one of the main characters from the original is going to encounter the witches in some way. I haven't read it yet, but I meant to read it last year actually, and then I didn't get around to it in October. So then I was like, oh, well, I'll just wait until next year then. Because that's kind of how I am when there's like seasonal books. If I don't get to them the month that I plan on reading them, then I just save them for the next year because I'm not really in any rush to finish a lot of these books, and I just want to read them when it's seasonal, is pretty much the way I look at it. So then this next one here is Lock Every Door. So this one is about a girl who works at, or who accepts a job at a hotel slash, I don't know if it's like a hotel or apartment building, I think it is. And it is a thriller novel, so that's not my typical genre, but I am very much looking forward to reading it anyways. It just came out actually in July. This is the arc, and I don't really read thrillers, so it wasn't at the top of my list for July, but I was like, I know I'm going to get around to it this year, hopefully, because I'm planning on reading it for October, so it's going to be on that TBR more than likely, but also it's perfect for Friday the 13th if you're looking for something really creepy, because there is some creepy stuff going on in that apartment building, apparently. And this next one here is House of Salt and Sorrows, and this one is actually a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling, which is one of my favorite fairy tales. But it is a dark retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses. I mean, I guess the main story, I mean, a lot of fairy tales have pretty dark origins anyways. And it's not actually the only fairy tale book that I have on this list. But this is, I'll give you an idea of how dark it is because on the back it says, once there were 12 of us. So there are no longer 12 sisters because they keep mysteriously dying. So basically the idea is, it starts right off, actually, I've read the first chapter, so maybe it's not accurate to say I haven't read it. I've read the first chapter, but in the first chapter opens right up at a funeral for one of the sisters. So it is that's like the first page, you're right there, right at the funeral. So definitely a creepy book to read for Friday the 13th. The next one here we've got is Blue is for Nightmares, and I might have actually read this one, but I don't remember it if I did. So the cover's kind of like, it's got different, I don't know if you can tell, it's got writing, like, in like a different kind of thing. It's like glossy, that kind of, I don't know. I can't get an angle to really show it to you, but there is writing on it. So it's got a kind of creepy cover, but also it's about a girl who keeps having these disturbing nightmares about someone stalking somebody that she knows. I don't know if it's a friend or just an acquaintance, but either way, she's having these nightmares of stalking, and it's creepy. So I thought this seemed like a very creepy one to read. And the next one is The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Season of the Witch. So this is the novel, not the graphic novel. Although that one would also be a great one, but I don't actually own a physical copy, and I wanted to limit this to ones that I owned physical copies of. So this one just came out in, was it July or? Yes, July. And I like the Netflix show. I like the graphic novel, so I would very much like to read this one at some point, and I like that don't know if you can tell because the pages kind of go from white to black, but it's because some of the pages are written in all black and some of them are in white. So I'm thinking that has some sort of significance to the plot, like maybe those are some dark scenes or from another point of view or something. So I think that's really interesting. I mean, it's Sabrina. I don't know if you know the plot of Sabrina. I guess I shouldn't assume that you know the plot of Sabrina. So the idea of it is that she is a witch, but in this version, it's not like the original. I shouldn't say the original. It's not like the Sabrina cartoon or like the, what's her name, Melissa Joan Hart. Was that her name? I don't know. It's not like the Sabrina that you remember from like the 90s or early 2000s. This one is where basically the idea is that Sabrina got her powers from the devil, and so she is supposed to swear herself to the devil. This one in particular is about a spell that misfires for her. So I think that's a really interesting element, but I mean, either way, it's a Sabrina book. I loved Sabrina. So this next one is, what's it? When We Were Lost. So this one is about a plane crash. The plane crashes in a jungle, I think, on an island. Yeah, it's a jungle island. I think. Maybe not an island, but okay. Either way, it crashes in the jungle. And it was a plane full of high school students. So the idea is that almost everybody dies in the plane crash, and then it says here, the little like thing on the blurb on the cover says, a plane carrying a high school crashes in the jungle. Who lives? Who dies? Who becomes a killer? So I think I've heard that it's supposed to be similar to like the Lost Boys. Is it no, not the Lost Boys. What's that? Not The Outsiders. There's like a classic novel about boys that are stranded on an island. And oh my goodness, that book was terrible. I hated it. I know it's something that Lord of the Flies. I think I've heard it's supposed to be similar to Lord of the Flies, which I really hated. So I really hope it's not similar to Lord of the Flies. But I really love plane crash books and movies and TV shows. So I'm hoping that I really enjoy this one. But it sounds like there's like a killer wandering around, so that's kind of an interesting element. This next one right here is a semi-definitive list of worst nightmares. So this is about a girl. This was in one of my book haul videos. I got this one in August, and it is about a girl who believes that her family is cursed and to have some sort of debilitating fear. So she's going through the list of fears that she could possibly have after spending most of her life avoiding the things that she could be scared of. And she's trying to basically prove to herself that she's not scared of any of the things on the list. So that's the general idea of that one. I thought it was kind of perfect for Friday the 13th because that seems like a very unlucky thing, like especially the curse element. And this next one here is Sheets. So this one right here is just like a cute graphic novel. I don't know if it's actually cute, but the drawing style is cute. And all I really know about it is that it's got like a ghost character in it, and it's kind of like pastels, and yeah, like here's a scene where it's just like all ghosts, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, I thought this one seemed really cool. So this is about a ghost who escapes from the land of ghosts and stumbles into a human, and they both have their own family struggles. When I say like escaped from the land of the ghosts, it sounds like he ran away because he doesn't feel like he really fits in with the other ghosts. So it's about their unusual friendship, I believe. And it sounds like a really interesting idea. I'm definitely excited to read that one. This next one right here is the Clue graphic novel, or a Clue graphic novel. It's possible that there's more than one. But this is just the one that I happen to have. I picked it up at the store like a month or two ago. I'm trying to find a good page to show you. Hey, this one looks pretty cool. So here's the art style. It's kind of like I don't know, like Nuevo, if that's the right way you sound it, or yes, sound it, if that's the right way you say it, but it just has like a very, I don't know, modern art style, but with like some of the older art style mixed in, because you can clearly see some of the dots, but it has very sharp lines. So the lines are very sharp, but they added in some dots on some of the like the features, but not on all of them, to try to give it like a blend between the modern and the classic style of graphic novel or comics. And I thought that's a really cool art style to choose to do. Like, I don't know, let me find a scene where you can see both. I'm trying to find one that's like, maybe I should find one towards the front so it's not overly spoilery. Okay, here's one. So right here you can see that he has got the, oops, I didn't mean to hit the camera. Let me fix that. Okay. So here you can see that there are some dots. Maybe, I don't know if it's focusing, but there are dots on the yellow. And there are also some like very sharp lines. So that's just like one little frame from one of the opening pages. So that's interesting, and I just really love the game Clue. And I like the movie a lot too, actually. So I'm just like kind of a Clue nerd. So I'm excited to read this and hoping I enjoy it. This next one, oh, for those of you who don't know, I guess I should probably explain what Clue is. Clue is a game. It's a murder mystery game. Someone dies, so someone will die at some point in the beginning of this book. And then you try to figure out who did it, and the characters all have various colors as their names. So we've got like Miss Scarlet, so we've got Scarlet, and we've got Plum. We've got Mustard, Green, various characters. I really feel like all of you know what Clue is, or I think it's called like Cluedo outside of the US, something like that. I know it has a different name outside of the US, but I recently learned that because I wasn't aware of that before. I was looking up a comprehensive list of all the Clue variations that there are, and that's when I found out that there's another name for it for people who live outside of, I don't think it's just the US, I think it's like outside of North America, so I think in Canada they also call it Clue, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, this next book is called These Witches Don't Burn. This is about, it seems like it's about, I think it might be from, I'm not sure if it's from one point of view or multiple, but there's like a coven of witches, I believe. And there is some sort of like a blood sacrifice that's done at a school party. So that is, I think, going to happen in the beginning. At least it's in the description, so I'm guessing that it's probably going to happen early on in the book. So I'm interested to see that. I know that a lot of people have read that and rated it very highly, so I'm hoping that I also really enjoy it, and I'm hoping I can read that one soon. This next one here is The Evil Queen. This one is about a girl. Basically, the idea is that in the land that they live in, everybody is a story character, but they don't necessarily, well, they might not be like a main character in a story, but most people are some sort of some of the people are main characters in stories. So she finds out that she is going to become the evil queen because she discovered she has an affinity for mirrors. So basically, it seems like a very dark fairy tale retelling or reimagining. So I'm very excited to see what happens with this one. And it definitely seems very creepy. This next one here is The Accident Season. So this is about a girl who keeps getting hurt. I don't know if it's the whole family. Let me see. Yes, every October, her family becomes accident prone. Sometimes people die, and sometimes it's just cuts and scrapes. So basically, I thought this was perfect for Friday the 13th because it's supposed to be an unlucky number, and that is a very unlucky curse. I guess there's not really a lucky curse, but maybe there is. Tuck Everlasting seems to have a pretty lucky curse. I wouldn't mind living forever. But so then, yeah, this one seems very, maybe not creepy, but definitely like cursed, unlucky, 13. And this last one right here is going to be My Plain Jane. It is part of that series, but it's actually, they can be read individually. They don't have crossover plots. The only reason that they're a series is because it's a series of books about characters named Jane. But they're not set in the same universe, I don't believe, at all. So this one is about a Jane, I think it's supposed to be, is it Jane Austen? No, Jane Eyre, sorry. This is about Jane Eyre. I hope they do a Jane Austen one. That would be amazing. And she, like, I want one that where it actually is, like, Jane Austen is the character. Would be really cool, because they twist history and stuff. So in this one, she sees dead people. So that seems kind of like a, less of the unlucky element of Friday the 13th and more of just, like, the spooky. I'm not really sure where it's going to go from there, other than I guess it's a romantic comedy. So maybe it's not as, like, spooky, but the first book was kind of spooky, so maybe it will be. I'm not sure. But let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. Hopefully you enjoyed them, because I'm hoping I do too, and I already own them, so that would really stink if you hated them. Because then maybe I would be more likely to hate them too. So definitely let me know what you think of them, if you read them, or if any of them are books that you plan on reading too. And what are your plans for Friday the 13th? Are you doing anything spooky or creepy? Are you dressing up? Yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye!